Hello, everyone, and welcome to Snap Take. This is Glazer of Snap Judgments, the official podcast of Marvel Snap Zone. Today, we've got 4 decks for you, but all 4 are, well, they're all the little alligator card. It's all Loki. The 2 decks fighting for number 1 and number 2 in Marvel Snap right now are both Loki decks. We've got both those decks for you. We've also got the number 8 Loki deck, and a deck that got to number 2 and is floating around the top 10, yet another Loki deck. So if you like Loki, we've got 4 very different brews of that card for you. If you don't like Loki, well, you probably want to know these anyway, because if these are at the top of the meta, they're gonna trickle down to the rest of the meta. So get yourself ready. In addition, we're giving away 5 season passes. Every video from last Wednesday to this very video carries a season pass in the comments. At some point this video, I'm going to ask you a question. You're going to answer that question in the comments, and that's going to be your entry to win a season pass. Usually, I give away 5 more season passes on Twitter, but I decided I don't like that app. So we're actually going to make it 10 season passes we're giving away on videos. So I'm going to give away the first 5 on Tuesday's video, and then we're just going to keep going. We're going to keep giving away for 5 more straight videos of season pass giveaway, so get yourselves ready. In addition, if you'd like to see gameplay to these and all of my decks videos, check out the Stream Team. The Stream Team are some great streamers, mostly Power On Gaming streamers, who are friends. They release a video during the day, and then the next morning release a YouTube video on Twitch with those decks. Sorry, they Twitch stream with these decks, and then the next day they release a video on their YouTubes. So check it out. Tomorrow, Gregor2424 will be streaming at noon, and if you're interested in more content from Gregor was on the podcast that we released yesterday. The first deck is one we've seen before. Sizer is fighting for the first place in the leaderboard. He played a bunch of things and lost a little bit of rank, like 200 snap points, and then ended up going back to Loki to stabilize. This is Sizer's main Loki. We've seen this list. We're going to go through it more quickly because, again, this is the only list in this video that we've talked about anything like recently. But this is a fairly standard Loki list with 2 very distinct pieces of spice that make it work differently. Those are Devil Dinosaur as the big thing to do when you don't Loki instead of Mockingbird, because Devil Dino is obviously usually way bigger than Loki. And then it uses Juggernaut Cosmo as a way to be able to handle various Helidex and other nonsense in the meta. Cosmo is stellar right now. If you haven't been thinking about running Cosmo in a while, it's time to start strongly considering Cosmo. All right, so Sizer doesn't really do social media. I talked to Sizer on Discord. Sizer's great. Hey, Sizer. So you can't find him. Sorry, you're going to have to get his decks from here. There are 3 other Loki decks in this video. They're all going to have replacements in them. We'll get on to more detail as we go. A thing we're trying this video, and what I'd like you to let me know, is we've got our questions at the end, right? But we're also going to add questions that relate to each deck to the bottom of each of these sections. Let me know if you like that, or if you think, maybe once in a while, but I'd rather you just get through the decks and then do the questions. That's what you're going to let me know in this video. So King Anon asks what card surprised everyone most that people thought would be bad. And you know what card everyone thought would be bad? Loki. And you know how I know that? Every single month on Marvel Snap Zone, I write an article where I ask between 50 and 75 creators to rank all the cards of the new season. Loki was in second to last place. Mobius was first, Goliath was second, whatever. No one thought Loki was good except Safety Blade. Safety Blade was like, Loki's going to be crazy. Everyone else thought Loki was going to be terrible, and Loki's probably the best card in the history of Marvel Snap. It's between Loki and the original 3-cost Zabu. So with that the case, Loki is absolutely the card that everyone thought would be bad. That is insane. And now it is not only number 1 and number 2 and number 8 and around the top 10 in the meta. It has been the scourge of the meta, the most consistent card and deck outside of perhaps Thanos. Although, guess what? The best Thanos deck right now, it runs Loki. Alright, so here's how you play this. This is one of the decks in the rank 1 more. Turn 1, you want a Quinjet over Snowguard. I've come to terms, I used to say one of the 2. I think for most decks that run both of these cards, you want Quinjet first. Quinjet offers more value. If you're going to play a 2 later, or if you're going to play Snowguard on 2, I would generally prefer to do so in the Quinjet lane, unless you're running Ms. Marvel, which we'll see in some later decks. Red Guardian is in a lot of decks, and Quinjet is often the Red Guardian target for Loki matchups, which means Snowguard being there makes that Red Guardian a 50-50 instead of 100%. Turn 2 is Cable over Jeff. Jeff is great, especially in Professor X matchups, but it can always be played later. Cable does something on ladder that almost no other card does. It gives you early really great information about what your opponent's playing and what your opponent more importantly, cannot play against you. So if you know the meta and you see one of their cards, you start to get an idea of what they're playing, and they don't know they don't have a card. They can't play a card, but you do. Turn 3, Coulson and Mobius. It's sort of a toss-up right now. I'd probably play Mobius over Coulson unless I was guaranteed to Loki on 4. All of the current Loki decks are built to not Loki all the time, though. So it's fairly often worth just dropping Mobius here and then sort of going on with life. You Red Guardian if you have a really good target, but saving Red Guardian for later is often really important. If your opponent drops an Iron Man, you're going to be real sad you dropped Red Guardian on Ravonna, for example. Just play the damn Coulson. Play the damn Mobius. Turn 4, Loki, or you do one of the turn 3 plays. Turn 5, you would very much like to Devil Dinosaur. Then turn 6 is Juggernaut and Cosmo, or Red Guardian and Cosmo, or Juggernaut and Red Guardian. Some combination thereof is how you win the game, and once in a while, a Coulson-generated card will sneak its way into one of these, and obviously, once you Loki, that changes the entire play pattern. That's how you play this left. When do you snap with Loki? That's what's really complicated. So I've got like a 65%, 70% win rate with a Loki deck. I'd actually have to look up the exact numbers. But it's in the high 60s, whatever it is. Win rate with Loki in top 500 infinite. But my cube rate is really low. And I'm going to tell you exactly why. Because once I drop like a Quinjet and a Cable or something, if I snap, my opponent tends to assume I'm Lokiing. And if they're mid-range and high infinite, they run. If you're playing in a lower rank and your opponent isn't running on that, you are so heavily favored in those matchups at that point that it is worth knowing. However, if you snap and your opponent stays, be ready for a snapback to run, for anything that looks close to run, because odds are that unless you get that Loki with like the perfect number of their cards, they're going to have an answer and you're going to need to run. And then you're losing more cubes. You're winning a lot of like 1 and 2 cubers from snapping early and them running, and then you're losing a lot of heavier cubes unless you get in the habit of running appropriately. So be very careful with Loki in that way. And some better Loki players in the comment, not that I win a lot with Loki, but I'm not the best Loki snapper. So anyone else who has extra comments, who's a really high-level Loki snapper, please let me know in the comments. Also, we do at least 3 brand new decks every single day on this channel. We release 7 days a week of videos. We have more Marvel Snap content from top players. We cover everything from data mines to custom cards to the new season to spotlight caches to how to spend money. Make sure you hit that sub button so you don't miss anything. Ring that notification bell if you're already subbed. Like and comment, and the longer you watch the video, the more it helps the channel, so please consider watching longer. Our next deck, we're not going to talk about the deck that's in War for number 1 till the end. Fair warning, that's Tancho's deck. This is Lady Blade. Anytime you see the word Blade in a deck here, it usually means it's our friend Safety Blade. Our friend Safety Blade has hit rank 8 in Marvel Snap. KM Best had one of the decks he used to climb in his video yesterday. We've got the deck that actually went from the teens to rank 8. It is Lady Blade. This is Safety's Loki. This is the only good Werewolf Loki deck I have seen since the change to Werewolf. Everyone was immediately like, Werewolf Loki is going to be the thing, right? No, it turns out it wasn't. But here we are. Oh, did I not write turn by turn here? I totally wrote turn by turn here. Okay, good. Whew. I didn't remember writing turn by turn for this. Okay, I'm going to give you advice that's not going to be in the turn by turn before we go any further for this. Very importantly, very carefully, this deck is basically either a werewolf deck or an Elsa deck. It is very rarely both. You're making a choice of which, and you need to learn to read the meta. You need to learn, do I need to go wide? Am I trying to do that game plan? Or do I want werewolf? Am I bouncing werewolf around? Loki tends to work really well with either. But if you're going to play the card Loki, right, you need to know what your opponent's playing. Because if your opponent's just playing a bunch of big non-unreveal stuff, Elsa's way better. But if your opponent's playing like Bounce and you get Werewolf and you can get their Hit Monkey, their Sage, all that stuff with your Werewolf out, you're going to win that game. So that's the decision you're left making with this deck, and you have to think about that consciously as you're playing it. All right. You can find Safety at twitch.tv/SafetyBlade. He's also on Twitter at the same name. He's got 10,000 followers on Twitter. Props to Safety. So Snowguard could be Cable here. I don't really know what to change Snowguard for, to be honest, since Maria Hill's already in this. And the other high series cards are needed. You need Werewolf and Elsa. That's kind of the point of the deck. And Nico is ridiculously good in this deck. Like, absurdly good in this deck. Karma asks which card I've had the most fun with and which I'd get a hit variant for if I could. So I think Werewolf is the most fun card in the game when it's good. I absolutely adore Werewolf. Werewolf in Surfer, Werewolf in Loki, Werewolf, and Bounce is a ridiculously fun card. I don't think Werewolf is great right now outside of very, very specific builds. I maintained a high 60% win rate with the Surfer deck I featured Friday. This is the only good Loki Surfer deck I've tried, and I don't like any of the other places, the Annihilises and the Darkhawks and stuff, although the Thors that Owie is playing is good. Werewolf is a much more finicky card right now than he was previously. That said, Werewolf is absurdly fun. Even when you lose, the card bouncing all over the place, trying to figure out the sequencing. I love it. I like cards that do stuff, and that is Werewolf by Night. The card I'd most like to have a hip, however, is not Werewolf. It is already in this deck. It is not Loki. It is Shang-Chi. I don't know how there's no hip Shang-Chi, but it would make my life way easier in terms of building full hip decks if there were. I want a hip Shang-Chi. All right, turn 1, you want Maria Hill over Kitty, because Maria Hill tends to give you a 2, and especially if you don't see Angela, you never know what that 2 is. That 2 could be huge for you. Turn 2, Angela. Turn 3, Werewolf or Elsa. Again, you're thinking critically about which to play, right? Turn 4, Loki or 1s and Bounce. And if you bounced a bunch of 1s on turn 4, you can Loki on 5, especially if you got Werewolf out, right? You can Loki on 5 while playing that, while playing the bounced 1s for 0, bounce that Werewolf around and Loki, and it's just so much power. This is, according to Safety, the real secret to Agent 13. It keeps your hand full, lets you have a bunch of extra options to do things, lets you Loki more effectively. It basically does sort of what Cable does for the deck, but without costing 2. If you Loki'd, great. If not, you're just moving the wolf more, you're generating more cards. This is, by the way, when you would like to drop Elsa around turn 5, turn 6, when you're not Lokiing, if you're trying the werewolf route. Because at that point, you're just saying, okay, so I've got the werewolf to... You don't... I mean, look, if you can get the werewolf to 17 power, you can guarantee a lane, that's fine, especially if Shang can clear out another lane. But if that's not the case, you don't have a ton of other power elsewhere, right? Unless Angela's going to clear a lane, which is... which is to say you get Werewolf of reasonable size, and then you go Elsa, and then a bunch of your 1s become 4s, and you just 2s become 4s, excuse me, and you start winning that way. Ooh. Oh no, I was supposed to add something to this video. We're going to add it tomorrow. All right, I guess we're doing 4 decks tomorrow. I didn't want to, but now we have to, because I wanted to show you my stats tomorrow. I did the season stat thing. The season stats are in the game. I'm going to show you my season recap thing tomorrow. So just be patient. That's one more day. I meant to add it to this, but what you going to do? Family got home in the middle of me making the slideshow. All right, so this is Dubos Loki. Our friend Dubos is a stellar player. Awesome human. Haven't seen him stream in a bit. Miss his streams, but I really, really enjoyed his streams. Our friend Dubos made this Loki list. Over time, this was played in the... Snap Grand Prix, the tournament we sponsored, and Nocturne wasn't out, and eventually Nocturne got put in, and that's like the only real difference from what this deck was. Professor X and Cannibal have only gotten better in the meta since then, so this deck is just better than it was at that point, and Nocturne ended up being put in the deck. This version of it is played by Dubos. Tanjo also played this on his ride up the ranks. Tanjo was not one of the top 2 players for most of the season and used this for most of the climb, but the climb to number 1 has been the deck we're going to look at after this one. This one is Dubos's deck. Cool. So Crazy is also playing it. Crazy, oh, I spelled it wrong. Twitch.tv/CrazyMSnap. Do me a favor. He's not even a Twitch affiliate yet. Go follow Dubos. Go follow Crazy. We got to get Crazy to Twitch affiliate. Crazy was the number 2, then number 1, then number 1 player on ladder, and is not going for number 1 this season. And I'm going to just tell you straight up why, because he answered when I asked. Last season, the Infinite Leaderboard was bugged, and even though he was in first place, he doesn't appear in first place, and it made him frustrated that he did all that work to not even get the recognition of being in first place, so he's not bothering to go for first this season. He's still one of the best players in Snap, and this is his preferred Loki build. This is the Dubos list. This is Tanjo's second favorite Loki build, so like this is a legit great list. For this list, no guard can be Hill, as usual. Crazy runs Mobius over Widow, and I think that's probably right, given the 4 decks of this video. Given that Loki is so high ranked, I think you'd probably rather have Mobius than Widow. Red Guardian can be Rogue, Shadow King, or Shang. Nocturne can really only be Gladiator, but Gladiator in a few days is dropping to Series 4. And then we have our question for this. Marth asks about missing cards, cards evaluation, and Cannibal. So if you're low on cards, how do you evaluate what card to get? How do you best evaluate cards, and what do you do with Cannibal, given that everyone was wrong about Cannibal? So card evaluation is extraordinarily complicated in Marvel Snap. I'm going to take you through the ballad of Cannonball in my experience. I take recommending or not recommending cards very seriously. Tomorrow I'll give my final Sasquatch recommendation in the video. I take it like extremely seriously. I'm telling people how to spend what amounts to their money. And I do a lot of research. I look at stats. I talk to a lot of top players. I take it as seriously as anyone. Now, at the end of Cannonball Week, Cannonball was a very good card. It was not worth getting, and I said it wasn't worth getting. I thought it had the potential to be the best card of the month. I ranked it number 1 before the season, but that's not where the meta was at that point. What happens is they nerf a card like Goliath, and all of a sudden Cannonball is significantly better. They nerf a bunch of other things, right? Like, because remember, this is during the Thanos meta, so Cannonball is significantly worse during the Thanos meta, right? So they nerf Thanos out of existence. They nerf Goliath out of existence. Now Cannonball, which was a powerful card, but a card that couldn't be placed in the meta, is great. What they're doing right now is they're releasing consistent good cards. You cannot know to get Cannonball when Cannonball is out, unless you're the type of person that gets every card. You just can't. There's no way to know the exact series of events, the exact series of nerfs and buffs and so on, that's going to lead to a card like Cannonball being good or not. What you're trying to evaluate is what's good in the meta, what do you think will have a home, and that's really hard. The hardest cards to evaluate are cards like not Nocturne, Namora. Cards which do something that no other card has ever done. Traditionally, we don't know if that thing that a card has never done, like Havoc, will be really great or really terrible until we see it in the game. We can theory craft, but there's no real way to know what that theory is. Both of those cards put a lot of stats on the board, Havoc and Namora, right? Namora is great, Havoc is fine in very, very specific builds, and needed Hope Summers to come out, which was not a card we knew existed at the time Havoc was released. How do you evaluate that? You just have to do your best. There is no exact science to this, and ultimately, this is on purpose. You can be mad about it, but Second Dinner believes, and this might show up again in a question, but Second Dinner believes that there's no way to keep the game running without at least selling some of the cards. They think that, I forget the name of the game. That game that died recently that was extremely free-to-play friendly, the one that, yeah, someone in the comments will tell me what game I'm talking about. I forget the name. But it died because it was extremely free-to-play friendly, and it ended up not monetizing its cards enough, and so the game, despite its really great gameplay, did not last. Well, Snap seems to be worried that if they don't monetize their cards at least somewhat, that will happen. They're still fairly generous for $10 a month, but you're not going to get everything. And so they're saying, if every card we release is good, and not power creep good, right? Because they're all of really similar power level. We did a ranking of all the cards 2 weeks ago on the podcast. We ranked every card 2024, and like almost all of them are very similar power level, which makes ranking them really, really difficult. How do you decide what to get when almost every card that's been released for the past 3 months is really good? You spend and get them all. And if you're not willing to do that, then you're going to have to deal with missing out sometimes, unfortunately, because the context of Marvel Snap is extraordinarily dynamic. Cards change, cards are buffed, metas change, new cards shift the meta, buffs shift the meta, nerfs shift the meta, and then you're left with a card like Cannonball, which was good but not a requirement upon release, being one of the top 5-ish cards in the game right now because that context shifted. Now, I'm still going to do my best. I'm still going to ask everyone to give you the best advice I can. I feel like I did a really good job this month. I told you Sage was great if you wanted Bounce and if Leech was going to be nerfed. Leech was nerfed. Bounce is really good. Sage is really great in it. It's fine in other decks, but not a requirement. I told you that Nocturne at the end of the week was a card that was a buy. It was required. There we go. Namora was a skip. It's good. It's got one deck. It's good. That proved true. So we've been hitting on the current cards, but it's not easy. And I'm going to mess up again, and everyone's going to mess up again. So get a plurality of opinions, find people you trust, and do your best. Every month from now on the podcast, we're going to have Docty, who's Docty and Safety are the two best people I know at card evaluation, just because I've been doing this for months now and asking everyone for months. They're the two most often and likely to be right. So every month at the start of the season, I'm going to do my best to have Docty on the podcast to evaluate the cards in advance, and hopefully that'll help too. Cool. All right, turn by turn for this Dubos deck that it took forever. So Dubos made it, Tanjo climbed with it, and Crazy's on it now. let's take a quick look at the deck, because I just talked for like 5 straight minutes. Cool. This is the deck we all could. Mobius probably over Widow, but whatever. So turn 1, Quinjet over Kitty. Turn 2, Cable over Jeff. Turn 3, wait, Quinjet over Snowguard. I don't know why I wrote Kitty there, excuse me. Cable over Jeff. Turn 3, Coulson or Nocturne, or Mobius if you had it, over Red Guardian. I tend to like to save Nocturne for one more turn, but if you have Ms. Marvel in the deck, if you have Ms. Marvel, Professor X, Cannonball, and I wrote this in the wrong order, I'm telling you, family got home and everything fell apart. If you have Ms. Marvel, Professor X, Cannonball, those are your plays. You're not Lokiing most of the time. So you're going to go Ms. Marvel, Professor X, Cannonball, and try and win that way, because it is really hard to lose if you have those 3 cards in that order, and the opponent has not messed that up somehow. Cool. This is the list. One last look at it. It is really good. This is my one of my favorite Loki lists right freaking now. Our last Loki list is the Tanjiro one. This is the one that is in a war for number 1. As of recording, I believe it actually is number 1. This is the number 1 list of Loki in Marvel Snap. It is Loki plus Tech plus Mockingbird. This is about as standard as you get for the list. But when I talked to Tanjiro about it, he was like, I've never put this combo or close to this combo in a deck before. What it's doing is it says, you'll note that like only the Wolf thing does the Kitty Angela thing. The Kitty Angela thing seems like it's a little bit of a trap, given all the junk, all the other stuff happening in the meta. This one is instead just trying to run the best card in slot, basically at every point. Quinjet, and like it's got the Loki package, Quinjet, Snowguard, Cable, Shang-Chi, Cable, Coulson, Loki, right? Mockingbird's probably the best 5 for this deck, especially because it generates cards. Jeff is definitely the best 2 in the game. Cosmo, Mobius, Red Guardian, best Nocturne, best 3s in the game. Shang-Chi, best 4 in the game. And that's what it's saying. And Loki's the other best 4 in the game, right? So it's saying I'm running the best in slot at every slot. Beat me playing the most good stuff. And even if I can't play all my good stuff, I will play your cards cheaper with Loki. All right, so you can find Tanjiro at twitter.com/TanjiroAnjo. You can also, sorry, there's 2 O's in Tanjiro on the Twitter. Excuse me, I double checked that and I thought I changed it, but TANJOO Anjo on Twitter. This is the number 2 player last season and like number 3 this season. Tanjiro is a phenomenal player. He is the best Loki player in the world, I think, bar none. He plays Loki more than anyone, more different varieties of Loki than anyone at a top level. Red Guardian can be Shadow King or Road. Snowguard can be Maria Hill. Mockingbird can be Dino. Jeff and Loki are needed. Nocturne can be Gladiator or Ms. Marvel. Mobius can be Rogue. Kid's weird taste, whatever. Wants to know what vehicle a la Quinjet I want next in Snap, and suggests Blackbird, and Blackbird is a absolutely great answer. I'm going to say that I want the Starjammer, and what I want it to do is I want it to pick up the cards at its location and then have a Nightcrawler or Jeff and then drop the cards in another location. Maybe it only picks up 1 so it's not broken and that 1 is random, and it should probably cost about 3. That's exactly what I want. I want it to be the Starjammer, and I want it now. Alright, this is the second deck in the rank 1 war. So turn 1, Quinjet over Snowguard. Turn 2, Cable over Jeff. Turn 3, Mobius or Coulson are better than Nocturne or Guardian. You tend to play Nocturne or Guardian over Mobius or Coulson for specific reasons. Is there a location you know you don't want to deal with? Nocturne's more important now. Is there a card you want to get rid of? Red Guardian's more important right now. Turn 4 is Loki, or if you've managed to play a generated card, a Snowguard card, a Cable card, Mockingbird, or you can just play the second of those 3s. Turn 5 is the same as 4, and turn 6 is generally Cosmo or Shang-Chi. So turn 5 is Cosmo and a 2, and turn 6 is Shang-Chi and a 2, or Shang is turn 5, and then Cosmo and another 3 are turn 6. And then you win, because this deck is sick. Questions of the day. We still have our questions at the end of the video. Again, let me know how you feel about that. That's how you win the Season Pass. Alright, Tim Hungry wants to know if SD has hinted at gameplay modes. Yeah, we think one's coming soon. They've been hinting forever. I would assume it's coming, like, they're announcing something big at the IGN game show thing, June 6th and 7th. I assume that's going to have a game mode in it. I could be wrong, but I assume a game mode is coming, if not this month, next month, month after, real soon. What is that game mode? Shit if I know. I hope it's draft, but I don't think it's going to be. Bull Power, no more Series 4 card, makes the game pay to win. I talked about this a little bit earlier, that they feel like they're already super... So, okay, here's the true thing. Spotlight caches are super generous in giving us free cards, especially as you are further from game complete. Here's another true thing. Spotlight caches feel like shit. That's not a great way to do things, being generous and it feeling bad, right? So if it already feels bad, I think they sort of decided if it already feels bad, we're just going to release our Series 5 cards anyway. They are, again, very concerned about monetization and about giving away too many cards and that killing the game. I think they should also be worried about decreasing consumer confidence, but they probably have better metrics for that than I do. Is the game pay to win to an extent, right? It's buy a season pass to win at the very least, right? If you don't buy the season pass, you're at a fairly severe disadvantage. I think that this game should be looked at like a card game, like a subscription-based card game, and you should probably be spending $10 a month if you want to play Marvel Snap. If you don't, then you're always going to be crazy behind, and you're going to fall further and further behind. And I think that's by design. The game wants to make money, and in order to make money, there's no ads in this, right? So like free-to-play players who complain about falling behind and not getting enough stuff, I get it, but like you're being subsidized in this game by those of us who spend money. It's just the truth. So what do we do about that? I don't know. I hope more people buy the $10 season pass, and I hope that if enough people buy the $10 season pass, we can sort of balance things out. Jason Salazar wants to know if I'm excited for the Deadpool movie. So my feelings on Deadpool are really complicated, like really complicated. The humor is juvenile and stupid, but I laugh anyway. I never loved these movies. I really enjoy Cable as a character, so I enjoyed the Cable Deadpool thing. I wish it was played less for stupidity, but it's a Deadpool movie. Like, I wish they'd done a Cable and Deadpool movie that was actually Cable and Deadpool, so it could have like more of a tonal balance. It's fine as a comedy superhero movie. I assume the Wolverine thing is going to do the same basic thing. I'm mostly okay with this. I'm excited for it, largely because it's the only superhero movie coming out. Otherwise, I'd be like, yeah, sure, I guess I'll see it. I have seen every MCU movie in the theaters. Someone asked me to rank my top 5 MCU movies. We'll do that relatively soon. Scott Cabernet asked my favorite board game. So I don't really play board games. I don't own any. When I play board games, I go to friends' houses to play board games. I don't think it counts because it's basically a card game, but it plays like a board game. I really love Sentinels of the Multiverse. If you've never played it, it's a cooperative card game where the villain automatically plays. The villain automatically plays cards from his deck. You choose a hero. Every player at the table gets a different hero, and the heroes fight the villain at different difficulty levels. It is super duper fun. It has a million expansions. I have it all. Although they updated the game, and I didn't bother buying the new version because I already had the ultimate thing with all the stuff. But it is an absolute blast, and I love it very much. Instead of that, again, like, I play a bunch of card games. Like, I play Slay the Spire. If I'm playing a lot of Loop Hero lately, I play JRPGs, but I don't play many board games. Again, like, I'm fine with them at friends' houses, but I don't go out of my way for them. A bunch of other people also asked my favorite board game because I made a Monopoly reference in the comment to the last video. So sorry if Scott is the first person I saw ask it. So sorry if you asked it as well, and I only credited Scott. So someone recommended me Westchester Woman by Bob James, and I thought it was pretty great. I made myself a little Bob James Spotify playlist. So thank you. I appreciate it. Let me know if that was you in the comments, please. Thanks. All right, certain tiers of support on our Patreon come with honor. Thanks. I'd like to say thank you to a whole freaking bunch of people. Oh no, I have one more to add too. Hey, new person, I got you tomorrow. Wait for it. I'm telling you, my week starts on Monday, not Sunday. I'm also gonna talk about life stuff after this, so if you care about my life stuff, wait till the end. So thank you to Abigail Gieslin, the Mandatory Burnout, Cables, miss you, David G. Wingfield, Direwolf, always kind, LAB, FaThorNewman, check him out on YouTube, has a video of decks from last week out right now. Good Dog Gamer, This Is the Way, all the way from Scotland. Inc. Jane Everett, the great JD McDonaldinho, who never streams anymore. The King of Questions, Kertix Lee. Koi Ray, all the way from Japan. Hierophoros, The Goat Seeker, hello friends. Denman Falcon, who you can check out on YouTube. Doku, Ginger Prime, hit Ginger. Philip Ratko, who tries to watch at lunch right as I make the videos private. I'm sorry, Ratko. Haplo, Kenny Loggins of the Danger Zone. Rob Silverman, The Bizza, not the Jizza, The Bizza. X-Force V and Skippy G. Snap Judgments League 1 season champion Tommy frickin' Nyquist. The King of Bros, bruh. Black Dahlia, The Great Kazoo. Jessica Gamble. Hey, Ryan Wood, thank you for the awesome comments. Thank you for changing your name. Kev Sihora, Luna Chris, my former student, Louis Antonis. Mod Supreme Models, who just made a Google Sheet for me that's made my life exponentially easier. Huge props, Mod. The one and only Darth Vader. Reme Setala, Brian Kaufman, Tristan H. Martin, The Fuzzy Dunlop, Spectrumix, Hoot, Matt H., DJ Mikey Hijings, No Frickin' Flex, Ocularis, Greg Sterry, hey Greg, Pretty Frickin' Chill, Seamus, who's 4 days in a row watched the videos the day they come out, let's go, Spike Jones, aka Jonesy, who you can find at releasing videos on Twitter, on YouTube, but you get the idea. Two Ties, whose deck got me to Infinite this past season, the Pirate King himself, Tuccrr, the Homie Min, and of course, Gunny T, where this T stands for stay tuned. All right, so it's the end of the school year, and like things are extraordinarily hectic, so I'm doing my best to keep up with content. I don't think I'm missing a day of video, but articles have slowed and a little bit of the Patreon has slowed. I'll get back to it as soon as humanly possible. The end of the school year, when everyone else's life gets sort of easier, we go all through June, right? I do my testing, my B testing, and that means that like all day at school, I'm basically doing testing, and when I'm not doing that, I'm having union meetings. So like my entire day from front to back is completely filled, and I come home completely freaking exhausted this month. It means that everything's going to be slightly different for a little bit, not terribly, but we'll get right back to normal as soon as humanly possible. And I promised you 4 decks tomorrow, and I do my best not to let anybody down. Don't tell me to take a break; it's not happening. But know that I appreciate the sentiment nonetheless. See you tomorrow for another Snap Take and exclusive Patreon videos and so much more. This is